it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I want to say good morning and welcome to drboycetv.com. drboycetv.com is the home for intelligent black people. So if you're black and intelligent, let me know that's who you are. Do me a favor also, shout out the city that you're coming from. I'd like to know what city everybody's coming from. Welcome to everybody on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. And so feel free to follow me on the gram and also on Twitter. I'm at Dr. Boyce Watkins 1, Dr. Boyce Watkins, and then the number 1. Here's what I want to talk about today. I want to bring this up. Hey, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. A lot of people ask me about this, so I thought that it would be a good topic to address. There was, has anybody seen the U.S. Surgeon General? His name is Jerome something. He's a black dude, Jerome Adams. Jerome Adams, who is he's the Surgeon General. He's also the member of the White House Coronavirus Task Force, and he was recently was put in some hot water over some racially coded language he used to talk about the health disparity amongst African Americans. Anybody seen that? First of all, let me ask you this. First of all, has anybody ever seen Jerome Adams? Does anybody know who I'm talking about? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you know who Jerome Adams is, if you've seen his face. He's a black dude, and he is the U.S. Surgeon General. So he's got a pretty interesting position, I guess a powerful position, and it is what it is. Okay. So also, give me a yes or no on this. Yes or no, have you heard about the disparity where basically, I guess, amongst the thousands of deaths from the virus, a big chunk of them are black. A large percentage are black. Black people are dying at a higher rate than other people. Has anybody seen that? Give me a yes or no. And I think it's important to start there because I think that we all talk as black people and we all love each other, we want to make sure that we stay safe and we keep our people safe. And also, I like to keep our people informed. I like to keep us intelligent too. And so, so in terms of the facts, there are studies that basically show that amongst the very, 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 very small percentage of people that are dying from the virus, and it is very small. If you think you're going to die from the virus, you're probably wrong because there's just honestly there's no data to support that. And a lot of folks I had some folks literally say something stupid like they said, well, Dr. Boyce said that black people can't catch it. I ain't never said nothing that stupid in my life. I said I dare y'all to go find one single quote anywhere where I said that black people can't catch the corona. I ain't never said nothing that stupid. Viruses don't go around you because you're black. I'm sorry, I just don't believe that. But what I did do was I've been providing consistent data from the CDC and other organizations to basically say that a lot of the fear, the panic is disproportionate to the impact. The panic is disproportionate to the impact. So for example, I do point out that, a year ago, 80,000 people died from the flu. 80,000 people, that's a big number. But you didn't see people just sort of freaking out and going crazy and saying, oh my God, I'm going to die. But you could have died. 80,000 people didn't think they was going to die. They died from the flu. So, this stuff is out there. And if you just, as a news memo, a news flash, you're black. So there are probably lots of other things that can kill you. They're probably trying to kill you right now. They've been trying to kill you with that Popeye's chicken that they're putting in every location near you. So that's the place to start. So if you're investigating the deaths of black people, we should start with the local fast food restaurants and all the other shit that they're feeding you every day, that they're getting you to eat, that's killing you at an early age. So let's just keep it 100 right now as we talk about this. So that's why, and people got really mad at me because I'm not scared like they are. They get mad at you if you see things that they don't see. But I said I'm not running around here scared of that. I mean, I'm not saying like, what we do. You know what we do in our house? We stay the fuck home. We social distance. We got some white neighbors and black neighbors, and we don't go near none of them motherfuckers. We like, you might have the virus, so I'm going to talk to you from 20 feet away, right? You know what else we do? we wash our hands. We ain't nasty like that. We wash. Me and Alicia went to China last year, and Alicia's like a typical black woman. Black women are real clean. Like y'all are like pussycats. Cats are staying clean and stuff. Like black women are super. Most black women I know, they don't like mess. They don't like a messy room. They don't like stuff that has germs on it and stuff like that. Like they'd be like, ugh. And I think that they're cleaner than white. I'm sorry, no disrespect if you're a white girl. I'm sorry if I offend you. But have you ever seen that where like a bunch of sisters will see how like maybe their white roommate acts and they'll be like grossed out and ready to vomit, like, oh my god, my roommate is so nasty, right? Or when they heard about Kobe Bryant, that lady that falsely accused him of sexual assault, and they heard that she had the semen from all those men's panties in her, or all those men in her panties at the same time, and she wore the panties to the test or to the investigator's office because she just accidentally grabbed the wrong pair of drawers. Like a lot of black women were like, ugh, that is oh my god, ugh, oh god, ugh. Right? So black women are real clean. So Alicia's real clean like that. She's a black girl. She's from the hood. And when we went to China, Alicia said that after we got back, she said, it doesn't surprise me that a big nasty virus came out of China, because in China there's no soap in the bathroom. You can't even wash your hands. There's there's no toilet paper in the bathroom. People don't wipe their asses. So she's like, the food that they eat, some of the food they eat is like, it just seems like it's not quite cooked right. So, it is one of those things where I think black women kind of, see it in a certain way. So just generally speaking, and the reason I make that point is because, in our house, we just stay clean in general. So, it's not like we act like the virus doesn't exist, or that somehow because we're black, we have some magical ability to avoid all viruses that might be out here. But it's called common sense. It's called common sense. Now somebody say, calm down, boys. We know you love black women. I do. I love black women. I'm going to say it every chance I get. So you get tired of hearing me say it, then you need to go to fuck somewhere else, man. Because I think we don't say it enough. And that's why I say it as much as I can, more than necessary, because I get offended when people don't like black women, when they don't find black women attractive. I think it hurts their feelings. I think it's unfair. So there you go. That's why I will be repeating myself. My message will remain consistent. So I apologize if that hurts your feelings, but you got to get the fuck out if you can't conform to that. All right, so anyway, let me keep going. Hit the thumbs up button. So let's talk specifically about Jerome Powell, who happens to be married to a white woman, or Jerome Adams. He happens to be married to a Becky, which honestly, that right there, I don't care what anybody says. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I think who you choose to marry, who you're determined to marry, says a lot about how you think. It doesn't mean that, you can't be down and be married to somebody who's not black. I'm not saying that at all. I got people in my own family who chose to marry someone who wasn't black. But, when it happened, I was like, really? Like, you can't find, there ain't nobody black? You really had to, so seriously, but I love them anyway, because you can't control who people marry, right? You can't control who people love, and it's not a hatred thing, it's more of a love thing. So Jerome Adams, he does have a white wife, which I think is relevant. I read his bio in detail. Whenever I see a black person in a position like that, I always like to read their bio. You learn a lot about people when you read about their history. Where'd you come from? What did your parents do for a living? How did they raise you? How did you end up in that position? My take on Jerome Powell is that, or Jerome Adams, sorry, is that he's not the type of person that, he's not like, what's their brother's name? My boy at Harvard who played football, who played in the NFL, where that stupid lady Angela Seals tried to like falsely accuse him of being a predator. But she's like crazy. She probably does that to a lot of men. Somebody say his name, please. He played in the NFL and he was really good, and he's now in a neurosurgery resident at Harvard. Anyway, his name's gonna come up, and I'm gonna say his name. But anyway, he's not in that category. He's not in this brother's category. If you look at this brother's Myron Rolle, thank you very much. Dr. Myron Rolle is in a league of his own. He's extremely smart. He's very hardworking. He excels at everything he does. Jerome Adams is not in that category. He did not go to outstanding schools. He didn't, it's not like he did his residency at Harvard. He's not somebody that in his class somebody said, oh, I think one day you might be the Surgeon General. Like people like Barack Obama, you could tell Barack might have a shot at being president, right? Based on his resume. Michelle might have a shot at being president. You look at even Cory Booker, believe it or not. Cory Booker has a very impressive resume. Jerome Adams does not have an impressive resume. Jerome looks like a guy, and he was in Indiana, which is where Mike Pence, the vice president, was governor. Jerome comes off to me as the kind of guy that got with Trump and Pence, and they just liked him. They're like, when Trump said, "Where's my African American?" and and I think that's what he said when he saw Jerome Adams. Like, that's my African American. I like that guy. Now it's not so much just a race thing, because I think deep down in his heart, I think Trump really wants black people to like him. I think that's why he's so combative when black people say we don't like you. But because I think Trump, he's confused. He has so many black friends. Go back in time, go look back. A lot of these same rappers that will say that they hate Donald Trump now were buddies with Donald Trump years ago. They were rapping about Donald Trump. They wanted to be Donald Trump. I'm talking about going back to the 80s. Rappers used to rap about Donald Trump and how great he was. So, but then he became a Republican. So then suddenly it's like, okay, you got to draw the battle lines or whatever. So Trump is a little confused. But Adams is not a guy that you would expect to be Surgeon General. I just want to say that just as I lay out the context of this. So his comments basically regarding the spread of the virus came down to him saying to African Americans, and I want to find his quote so I can make sure his quote is right. He says, let's see here. Well, you know what? This is his response. But his initial statement had to do with him basically saying, do it for your granddaddy, do it for Pop, do it for your what's the word they use? Abuela. I never used that word before. I am a pop. I get called pop by my granddaughter. I have used the term granddaddy. Oh, he said do it for your big mama. Do it for big mama. Do it for pop. And he also told black and Latino people to avoid using alcohol, drugs, and tobacco. So what happened was a lot of people got offended by his language, by the fact that he specifically targeted black people with his language, and that he seemed to be blaming black people for the fact that we're disproportionately catching the coronavirus. Now, here's what's fascinating about this whole discussion to me. What's fascinating is that I can understand why people will be offended by him using that language specifically for black people, especially if there is the insinuation that he's somehow trying to argue that black people are the reason that, that these disparities exist. I'm going to give you what I see to be the real reasons in a second. But what I found fascinating, though, is that, people are offended by his use of racially coded language. Like, wait, how dare you talk about Big Mama and Pop and Granddaddy, right? Because you just saying that because we black. You just talking to us like that because we black. I get that. That makes sense. But let me tell you what I saw the other day. Here's what fascinates me about what I call our selective outrage. Our selective outrage, where two people do the same thing. One of them will clap, the other one will get pissed off. Here's an example. The other day I was online. I was on the gram. And everybody's online now because can't nobody leave the house. Everybody's starting to do stuff online like we do. And I saw a video from Diddy. And the video was called State of Emergency. And he was like, State of emergency, y'all. State of emergency, y'all. Coronavirus, y'all. We got to have a town hall, everybody. We got to meet online. Oh, it's a state of emergency, y'all. Right? So I saw Diddy. I'm like, state of emergency. Oh, shit, what's going on? Right. State of emergency, y'all. So then I saw that night, Diddy had a virtual town hall meeting. And in this town hall meeting, first person I saw was Kamala Harris. Second person I saw was that Ocasio-Cortez lady. I don't know much about her, but I see her every now and then. Then I saw Big Sean, the rapper. I saw Fat Joe, the rapper. And it was sort of like, like we gotta like really like be like trying to be like keeping our health right. You know what I'm saying? Like no, not many like medical experts, but a lot of rappers and a lot of politicians. I saw Van Jones from CNN. And I saw a few other people. Now, I'm not saying that the panel was bad. It's Diddy. He can do whatever he wants. He ain't got to worry about what I think. Shit, I wouldn't care what I think if I was him. But what was fascinating to me was that, if you're talking about racially coded language, you're specifically targeting African Americans in response to this disparity or this crisis. I think Diddy's, panel, coronavirus panel, state of emergency, y'all. I think that takes the cake. I mean, if you talk about racially coded language, everything in there was racially coded. That's why the Democrats love to use rappers to get you to come vote for them, because that's what they do. They are masters at saying, we're going to go talk to black people in a specific way because that's what black people like to listen to, right? Unfortunately, they weren't considering people like me in the group because highly educated black people who actually want to have some fucking common sense. Unfortunately, right now, we're not the norm, right? We're not the norm. But black folks who will listen to anything a rapper says, even if he says go pop a molly or whatever the fuck, like that's the norm. So has anybody ever listened to, seriously, have you ever, I want you to do this. In the election season, it's a great opportunity for you to learn about people. I want you to go listen carefully to some of the urban commercials that the Democrats run in black neighborhoods. Has anybody ever listened to those commercials and how motherfucking insulting that shit is? How goddamn ridiculous. Girl, the coronavirus is killing everybody. I know, girl. I was at the beauty shop, girl, and Joe Biden said he gonna pass the Negro Protection Act, which is gonna keep us from getting coronavirus, girl. We got to all go vote, girl. Oh, shoot. Well, okay, well, let me finish doing my hair and get my chicken, girl. I will see you at the poll, right? After church, right? They do this all the time. They do it all the damn time. So what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you shouldn't be outraged. If you're outraged by what Jerome said, Dr. Jerome, makes you think about Morris Day in the Time. Wasn't there a guy in the Time named Jerome? When you talk about Jerome, Morris Day's buddy Jerome, if you're gonna get mad that Jerome used racially coded language, then you should also get upset when the Democrats do the same damn thing. At least be consistent in your outrage, because a lot of times they don't respect you because they know that you flip-flop like a motherfucker. I'm going to stop cussing. I'm going to try not to cuss so much, but you do. You're not clear. You're not consistent. You're back and forth. You're flip-floppy. So for example, I can understand people getting mad that Kanye, I can understand people getting upset that Kanye West is being used by Donald Trump to get votes for the Trump administration. Right, absolutely. But, if you're going to be offended by Kanye West being used by Trump, then you should also be offended by Beyonce and Jay-Z being used by Biden. What's the damn difference? Seriously, give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. We've had several Democratic administrations, Democratic Congresses, Democratic presidents, etc. Do you feel that when it comes to wealth, education, or other forms of disparities, do you feel that black people have benefited with those people in office? Seriously, when Obama was in office, black people getting shot up left and right, and right there, a couple blocks from his house, right there in Chicago. I was right there. I saw it all. And he didn't have nothing to say about it. He didn't say anything. And when he did actually talk about African Americans, he did kind of what Jerome Adams is doing. He started scolding black people and blaming black people and telling black people that basically it's your fault. You need to change your behavior. You need to step up to the plate, right? So let's just keep it 100, man. Let's keep it 100. This is all silly. Now, do me a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button and share this video because we got a lot of stupid people that need to be educated. So share this video with any stupid person that you know on social media, and the smart people too. Also, if you one of my goals for this year is I want all of you to be invested in the stock market on some level, because that's the key to wealth. You guys know I'm a finance professor. That's my PhD. So that's my gift I'm giving to you, is I'm pushing your ass to go buy some shares of stock for your kids, because 90% of all millionaires invest in the stock market. That's how they become millionaires in many cases. So don't believe the myth. Most millionaires are not, don't just inherit all their money. A lot of them are self-made, and part of being a self-made millionaire means investing in the stock market. So if you want to learn how to invest in the stock market, there's a free video you can watch at firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. Somebody type that in, firstshareofstock.com. Just go there, sign up, watch the video. It takes just a few minutes and you'll be invested in no time. All right. So let's go into the crux of the issue, though. This is really important too, in terms of what I've seen as a black man, as a black man who tries to be honest about what I think. I know my honesty gets me in trouble, but I can't stop doing it. I've been doing ever since I was a little kid. My mama used to say, "Boy, your mouth is either going to make you great or get you killed. I'm curious to see which one." So I've been like this my whole life. Ain't no point in me trying to change. So here's what I see as the real reasons why we have this disparity when it comes to the coronavirus. Why black folks die from it more than other people do. Now remember, don't forget. Your odds of dying from that virus are 1 in about 26,000. I did the math. I'm a mathematician. The odds of you dying from the virus are about 1 in 25,000. So if you got, so just think about it. Think about it like this. Think about it this way. If you got up and you were going to get in your car and I said, there's a 1 in 10,000 chance that you're going to die from a car crash today, would that keep you home or would you still get in your car? Right? Because think about it. When you get in the car, anytime you get in the car, I think you got maybe a 1 in 700 chance of dying of a car crash, right? But you get in your car anyway, because even though the risk is there, you still get out and you still live life, right? So just make sure, you understand that your chances of catching the virus are very, very low. Your chances of dying from the virus are very, very low. Doesn't mean that the death is not real, but thousands of people die in the United States every day. I think on a given day, 7,000 or 8,000 people die in the U.S. every day just because it's a Tuesday, just because it's a Friday. Okay, so you got to put it into context. When you talk about a nation of 330 million people, I'm not a fan of them giving numbers that are like absolute numbers, like 14 people died today, or 14. That's not a big number in a nation of 330 million people. Right. I prefer that they did a couple things. One, I think I would prefer if they gave you the odds so that people are not unnecessarily scared. It's like reading the newspaper. You live in New York City and you read in the newspaper about a poor old lady who got robbed and murdered that day. And you live in a town of 8 million people, but you think it's going to happen to you because you read her story. That's not fair. That's not right. That's what they call fearmongering. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of fearmongering. I think people should be taught to be cautious. I talk to you all guys all the time about things that I think you should be afraid of. What you should be afraid of is raising some fucking kids who go out into this world and can't fucking read, write, and do math and can't do business because they were educated by white people who don't love them. That's what I think you should be afraid of. When I talk about fear, I talk to black men all the time about drugs and alcohol and how if you go out and listen to these rappers that tell you to stay high and drunk all the time, you're going to get killed or end up in prison if you're not careful. There's a lot of guys in prison because of things that happened when they were drunk or while they were high, right? When I talk about fear, I talk about, the fear of if you're not prepared for the future is going to kick you in your ass. You must prepare for so I'm okay with telling you when I think you should be afraid, but I'm also not afraid to tell you when I think that you're overreacting. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you follow what I'm saying? So be afraid of the right things. Don't let the media control your mind. I think that's incredibly crazy and ridiculous when we allow that to happen. So here are the real reasons why I think these disparities exist. Why black people are more likely to die from the virus than everybody else. One, let's talk about it from a political standpoint. One, there are healthcare disparities. In case you don't know, this is probably going to surprise some of you. Some of you who marched with Dr. King are going to be shocked when you hear this. Some of you who are waiting for the Democrats to be nice to you are not going to believe me. But white people don't like you very much. They just don't. They just don't. I know that think that if you hold hands and sing "We Shall Overcome" and keep asking them to be nicer to you, at some point I know you think one day they're just going to wake up and be like, by golly, we need to just treat these African Americans as well as we treat ourselves. You get to become honorary white people because you are fully a part of the great American system there, buddy. We love you people. We love you all. That day ain't never going to happen. That day ain't never going. It just isn't. It's stupid. I fell for it for many years. When I was younger, I used to do that. I used to get into civil rights and we need to protest and we need to complain about the disparities. And so I started writing articles. I used to write articles. Like go read some of the articles I used to write when I was a grad student at the University of Kentucky. They were very popular. I didn't know I was a good writer, but I guess I was because everybody read my articles. And I would write all day like statistics. Well, that African Americans are 3 times more likely to go go to prison, and black people are 5 times more likely to catch a disease. Black people are this is the wealth gap between and I would write about that, and I would articulate it very well because I was very smart. I was teaching math. I was teaching math at the college level when I was 23, 24 years old. So I was a pretty smart guy. And do you know what white people would do when they read that shit? They would ignore it. They would ignore it because they did not care. They didn't care. But the Democrats, the reason you like the Democrats. Here's why I figured out why black folks like the Democrats. You like the Democrats because they feed you your poison wrapped in a big, delicious, moist piece of chocolate cake. They feed you poison in a way that is scrumptious and delicious. They sugarcoat their bullshit. So they feed you a big tub of bullshit and they put chocolate icing on it and sprinkles, and you eat the shit and you think, oh my God, this is so delicious. This is so much better than those damn Republicans who wouldn't give us anything at all. I'm not trying to tell you to become a Republican. I'm not interested in that. I told you guys who I'm voting for, and I'm voting for black people, which means voting for black people means I'm going to do work in the community. I ain't got time to show up and do anything for anybody who ain't doing nothing for me. That's just my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do. But the reason you like the Democrats is because they're very good at giving you your self-esteem. You want them to like you, and you feel that them accepting you is going to somehow make you better. That's why a lot of your leading blacks out here are the black people who've been accepted by white people. Like, maybe Van Jones and Angela Rye, they're on CNN. They were on the Diddy thing too. They're on CNN. White people like them. So we look up to that, right? Diddy and all those rappers, the reason these motherfuckers are rich is because white people like it. They like it when you run around in a clown suit and rapping about the hood. Like they love that. They pay money for that. They like it when black people keep it gangster. So these become your so-called heroes. These become your role models, when really you have to be very careful about who you pick as your role models, because when you're naive, the people that you look up to, the black people you look up to, are the ones who've been accepted by whites. But then when you become a little more mature, you realize that the people you should look up to are the ones who've been rejected by whites. That's the difference between a Barack Obama and a Marcus Garvey. Barack Obama was accepted by whites. So we look up to that because we're like, oh, he's presidential, y'all. He's flying in Air Force One. Everybody loves him. He's great. He went to Harvard. Okay, good for him. But Marcus Garvey, this man went to prison because he stood up to white folks so much. So you need to ask yourself a basic fundamental question as black people. Why is it that your children are guaranteed to know who Barack Obama is, but most of your kids will never learn a thing about Marcus Garvey? Who was really willing to put more on the line for black folks? Who was really more willing to just go to bat for his people? Marcus Garvey or Barack Obama? Well, if that's the case, then why are you worshiping the wrong heroes? Why are you looking up to the wrong people? Process that for a minute. I need y'all to think about that. Let's keep going. So one of the reasons for the disparity is because there are healthcare disparities. You go to the doctor, they don't treat black people the way they treat white people. You don't have the same quality of care in black communities. We know this. This is a fact. Also, money. Our healthcare system is built heavily on money. It's a capitalist system, which is a very unfortunate truth. It's very, very sad. But basically, people who have more money in America have greater access to things. That's why NBA players, even though they're black, were the first ones getting these coronavirus tests. Even though half of them were healthy, half of them didn't even need the damn test, right? But they were giving them all the tests because they were rich. You're millionaires. You get treated differently from everybody else. That's why wealth in the community, I think, is an important factor. I think we should think about that. The last piece is, I think, if they really wanted to address the issue, if this Jerome Adams guy really wanted to address this disparity, maybe they could arrange for more testing in black communities. I think there should be more testing. Now, we can talk about the vaccines later. If you want to participate or not participate, it's up to you. I'm not afraid of a vaccine, but I don't mess with many vaccines. I don't. I take the ones that I have to take, but some of them I'm like, a flu vaccine, I read up on it. Again, I'm not into emotion. I'm into information. So I read the information about it. I said, okay, wait a minute. So you're telling me that I'm gonna go get this damn shit injected in my body? I don't know what the hell you're doing to me, but then you're not even fully protecting me. Like, you mean if there's 5 different possible strains coming out, like you're only protecting me against one? So chances are you're protecting me against the wrong stuff. I'll pass. I'll just take my chances. I'll just keep washing my hands and get plenty of rest and boost my immune system, and I'm gonna be okay. And if I'm not okay, then that's fine, because I'll be dead. I won't give a shit anyway. So those are three of the political reasons why the disparity exists. Healthcare disparities have always been very real. They do exist. There's a wealth disparity in terms of the ability to get quality care, and I don't think they're testing black people the way they should. I think that they should do more of that. Now here's the part that, where folks start getting offended. You can't sit here. I cannot have a conversation with you where you blame the entire state of black people on things that are out of the control of black people. I refuse to walk through this earth believing that my outcomes in my life have nothing to do with my choices. I just refuse to believe that. Sure, you could tell me about racism. I know racism's real. I know white folks ain't gonna stop being white. I know that there are hurdles out there. I know that there are disparities. But will never ever convince me that every single negative thing that happens in the black community is completely out of our control. Do you understand what you're doing when you do that? Do you understand that by accepting some idea that nothing that you do matters for the state of your own existence? Do you understand that is spiritual suicide? You're committing spiritual suicide when you just say, well, I might as well, ain't nothing I do ain't gonna make a difference, so I might as well just sit here and be ignorant and drink a beer on the fucking couch and smoke weed all day. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? By the way, one day we're gonna have a conversation about weed. I did some research on weed. I told you guys I'm not anti-cannabis, but because I know about the health effects. But there's also Dr. Wesley Muhammad does excellent analysis on what they're doing to the marijuana, especially when they're increasing the THC content. And for some of y'all, it's fucking you up. Like if you're just sitting around, if you think that it's okay to just sit around and smoke heavy duty weed all day long, or weed where it's got artificial stuff in it all day, that is not healthy. That will fuck you up and kill you. I just want to make just a little public service announcement. Get mad at me if you want to, but go look it up. These are facts. All right. So here are the three things that I've seen, or a couple things I've seen with black people, that in terms of our behavior, our response to this, that I think could be affecting our mortality rate and our infection rate. I feel that black people don't always have as many options for social distancing because we live in the urban areas. Dr. Claude Anderson talked about that, how they kind of pack you into the urban areas and into the apartment complexes and stuff like that. So it's a lot harder to keep your distance from people. Like, I'll just keep it 100. I live in a house, and we don't have to see our neighbors. We don't even see our neighbors when there is no virus. Like we don't. We see them 100 yards across the street, and we're like, hey, Bob, or whatever. But we don't actually. We're not on top of each other. So I think that the ability to social distance is limited, but also the desire to social distance is limited. I think that there were a lot of people that still to this day don't take this seriously. Now, I've told you guys the truth in terms of the fact that I don't believe you should be alarmed by this. I don't think you should just be scared half to death to the point where you can't move. But I've never once ever wanted you to think that this was not something that you have to pay attention to. The social distancing rules are real. And so, and then when I saw people saying that black people couldn't get it, I don't even know. I saw somebody did a video where they claimed that I said that black people can't get it. And again, I said, I dare you, go find a single video, quote me, motherfucker. Like, find a video anywhere where I actually would show that I'm stupid enough to think that viruses just bounce around black people and land on white people. Did that when we were about to go to war with Iran. People were like, well, if they bomb the United States, they only gonna bomb the white people. They're gonna save the black people. I said, no, you are an American, goddamn. They're gonna blow your house up and and kill you and your family, just like they're gonna kill the white people next to you. Stop thinking that because you're black, you've automatically got this special privilege where they're not gonna harm you if they come and attack the country. So common sense makes sense. Common sense is called for in situations like this. It doesn't mean that being black doesn't come with lots of special, what I consider to be superpowers and capabilities. Remember, you're the descendants of the survivors of the Middle Passage. So I do believe that blackness is a superpower. But there are some situations where your blackness is not going to save you. Black people die more than white people in almost every single category. If you look at the list of things that kill white people, there's something about their genetics where they're just different from us. They're just different. Like they die from a lot of shit that just they can't help. It's just in their blood, in their DNA. Black people die from a lot of preventable stuff. We die from a lot of preventable stuff. So that goes to the second point. The second point is, what's the number one factor in determining? Actually, there's two number one factors. I don't know which one is more impactful, but there's two number one factors in what will increase your likelihood of dying from coronavirus. What are those factors? What are the two leading factors that determine whether or not you're a person who has a higher likelihood of dying? Can somebody name them in the chat? One is age. If you're over the age of, I believe it's 70, your odds of dying from it are very high. So protecting your grandparents is very important. If you're under 60, the odds drop to almost nothing, even if you get it. Most of the people that get it, if they're under 60, are going to be asymptomatic. The second piece is pre-existing conditions. Pre-existing conditions. So when you saw the poor brother that was you saw that the poor guy that was on the bus and people were coughing and he was complaining about the coughing and stuff like that, and then he died not too long afterward from corona. He shouldn't have been out of the house, because you could look at the brother and you could tell he might have a couple of pre-existing conditions and he could be vulnerable to that virus, no matter what his age is. So black people, I don't, give me a yes or no. How many of you know like some 60-year-old black man or black woman who won't go to the doctor for nothing? Unhealthy as shit. Been eating fried chicken and hog mogs and biscuits and for 40 years, smoked cigarettes, maybe drinks a little bit, and ain't been to the doctor since like the 70s. How many of you got a relative like that where that they're unhealthy, they've got several conditions, maybe they might be on a bunch of medications, should probably maybe be on more medications, definitely should be considering becoming a vegan, but will never consider being a vegan because they don't want to live like that, who literally that person's extremely unhealthy. We've got a lot of people in our families like that. We know this, right? We know this. This is something we have to fix. This is a curse from oppression and slavery and everything else, right? But it's real. It's very, very real. Black folks have a lot of pre-existing conditions. And so, so when you're talking about things like diabetes, most of you probably know somebody in your family has got diabetes. The diet, the food that we eat is like the diabetes training wheels, like it's diabetes, like the diabetes starter kit, like like you go to grandma's house and you got the fried chicken and the chitlins and the Kool-Aid is like super sweet and it's got lemon in it and it's like lemonade flavored Kool-Aid and it's so delicious, and nobody gives a shit that that it's got like a pound of sugar in it. Like that's kind of what we end up doing in a lot of our families. Not all of us, but Byron Hurt did a great documentary called Soul Food Junkies. And everybody should watch that, and it's kind of hard to watch stuff like that for somebody like me because I grew up on that food too. I don't like, people try to take me to vegan restaurants and I get mad. I'm like, damn, I don't want fucking vegan. Like, I want some food, and then I'll go and the vegan food has gotten so good that I'll be like, man, dang, I'm so immature because I was really pissed off when I came in here, but the food was great. And you mean this isn't going to kill me? This is awesome. So it's really hard to change bad habits. That's what I'm saying to you. And a lot of us are affected by those habits. And I'm going to tell you the truth. If you're one of those people that's always been like super healthy and you always eat like the right things and you're the person that's going to make fun of me because I do a podcast eating a cheeseburger, well, I say fuck you, man. I get mad at you. Like literally when y'all start preaching at me about what I'm eating, I really want to cuss you out, but I love you so much that I'm not going to do that. And also deep down, I know that you're right. I know that you're 100% right. I mean, for example, it doesn't make any sense that I ran a marathon and I am still not like slim, trim, and sugar free. Well, it's because, like eating bad food really is a heavy habit in our community and it affects almost all of us, right? So I think that if you're really trying to sort of analyze stuff like this, like with what happened with this guy, Jerome Adams, should Jerome have used that language? I don't really care what language people use. I just don't. I think that we got to get past cosmetic politics. Stop thinking that, that how somebody says something to you is more important than what they're saying. Stop thinking that, people who pretend to like you really are your friends. you have no friends in Washington for the most part. You just don't. Trump is going to do what's best for Trump and his people. The Clintons and the Obamas and the Bidens are going to do what's best for their people. Stop getting caught up in the emotional side of things. And I'm just telling you, like, if you're going to be outraged, at least be consistent in your outrage. If you're going to get mad because Jerome Adams talked about Big Mama and Granddaddy and Pop, well, then you should have been mad when Diddy had a bunch of black political surrogates and a bunch of rappers. He had Angela Rye and Kamala Harris and Van Jones. And he probably would have had that one guy, the gay guy down in Gillum. He would have had Gillum too if Gillum wasn't hemmed up in his situation, right? And if you're going to be offended by one thing, be offended by all things that involve racial catering or racially coded language. Because I was watching the video, I was like, wow, like Diddy really is like a Buckeye, like he's Buckeye, like oh Lord, we gonna die, state of emergency, y'all, state of emergency. Where does that come from? It comes from the fact that political scientists have proven time and time again that fear is the number one motivator to get somebody to vote for you. Fear is the number one thing. In very few places does fear work better than with the black community. If you want to get black people to vote for you, all you got to do is convince them that the other party is going to make them into slaves. That's all you got to do. You just got to convince them that the other party's trying to kill you, that you're going to be slaves, that you all going to die, and Lord have mercy, Lord Jesus, it's terrible out here, it's scary out here, y'all, and then we all show up to the polls, and then once they're elected, they start ignoring you again, and they're like, yeah, we'll talk to you in 4 years. I'm not a fan of that, but then again, it took me some time to get to that point. So that's what it is. All right, guys. So do me a favor. Please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And all my comments, this is not meant to be offensive to Diddy or any of his people. I have friends that know Diddy. I've never met Diddy, but I have friends that know Diddy. And I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to diss somebody. But I'm just saying that, these political games, I don't think that they're to the benefit of our community. What we need is we need initiatives that really are rooted in our community and force politicians, Republican or Democrat, to support these initiatives. And I really think that this we've got to really question what this consistent loyalty to the Democratic Party has really gotten us. Don't just look at the future. They always want you to look at the future because the future is ambiguous. The future is all about what I might do for you or what I'm thinking about doing or what I could do for you one day. Let's look at the past. Let's look at the fucking track record. Let's look at your credit score. When you go to the bank and you're trying to borrow money and you got 8 loans and ain't paid none of them back, they're going to be like, I know that you're telling us that things are going to be different this time, but I'm looking at your record, your credit score. Your credit score is 422 and you haven't paid a loan back since the 70s, so we're going to pass on this one until you prove that you are, again, a credit risk. So the Democratic Party, unfortunately, at this point, based on their credit score, based on their track record, is a bad credit risk, which means that if you are continuing to support them, then then some people might say that you're kind of that you could be defined as being a little bit delusional in your thinking, or maybe you have another reason to vote for them. So I'm gonna be careful about that language because I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to do what the Democrats and Republicans do, which is to suppress the black vote. Both parties suppress the black vote, and I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna tell you, go vote for who you want to vote for or not vote at all. I don't care. I'm going to love you regardless, and I want to make that 100% abundantly clear. But the reason that I believe both parties suppress the black vote is because the Republicans don't want you to vote at all. If you don't show up to the polls, they got a better chance of winning because when you show up, you're more likely to vote for the Democrats. That's why the Republicans don't want any legislation to pass that's going to increase the likelihood that people are going to vote. The Democrats suppress the black vote by making you feel like you are a sellout if you do not give them your vote. They don't give you facts and data and statistics and information to prove that they're worthy of your vote. They don't earn your love. They force themselves on you. They politically rape you by basically telling you, like, if you don't vote for us, then if you don't vote, you don't count. Your ancestors died for you to have the right to vote. Don't talk about my ancestors. You don't know my great grandma, so shut the fuck up. If you don't vote, if you not voting for us is a vote for Trump. Well, no, not voting for you is just not a vote for you. Trump can go get his own votes because I'm not voting for Trump. But whatever manipulation you're doing to try to get me to vote for you, it's insulting to my intelligence because every time I ask you to answer the real questions, you don't want to answer those questions. If you listen to Joe Biden and all these other people, whenever they talk about real black issues like reparations, they literally act like they did not hear your question. They literally will change the subject as quickly as possible because that's what they're trained to do. So at the end of the day, if you can't answer me, if you can't respond to me in a way that I define to be meaningful and relevant, then guess what? On election day, I'm not going to respond to you. That's called quid pro quo. That's what equality looks like, black people. See, they tell you all the time, like, oh, we want equality, we want equality. Well, equality means that if you want something from me, then I got to get something from you. Equality means that I can ask from you the same things that you're asking from me. Equality means that if you're taking care of your people, I'm going to take care of my people. Seriously, so think about this. They're talking about the dream of equality, and it's couched within the framework of extreme and extensive and persistent inequality. So I'm telling you that I want you to be equal by committing yourself to a system that is not equal. How much sense does that make? Do you follow what I'm saying? Are you getting what I'm saying here? I'm done talking. What's going on, Faye Bishop? I see you and her sister. Faye Bishop, one of the few black people I know that got a hell of a lot of common sense. I'm playing. Y'all got sense too, because that's why you're here. And I love all of you, and I appreciate you, and thank you for listening to me. I woke up this morning with this on my brain, so I appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to give my point of view consideration, even if you don't agree. That's totally fine to disagree. All right, so I'm out of here, guys. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Also, if you want to learn how to buy your first share of stock, go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. Totally free, and you will know how to invest within 10 minutes. Let's see if we can get our stock market participation rate above 70, 80, or 90% by the end of this month. I want to be able to do a survey and have 70% of you say that you're invested in the stock market for your children, because studies show that those who invest in the stock market have a far higher likelihood of dying with assets in the bank, as opposed to people who don't participate, who have a high likelihood of dying broke. So this is from research. This is academic research. This is not me just talking. This is true. All right, guys. So firstshareofstock.com. That's the URL. So I hope you guys will visit, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Have a good day. Talk to you later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boy's TV.